aspects of the Karma Yoga, and the qualification for Karma Sannyasa. So here, when we looked at that last shloka where it was mentioned that the Lord, it was mentioned Prabhu, that Prabhu doesn't make us do actions, meaning he doesn't make us the karta, kartrutvam, and nor karmani, that action itself or the object itself. He doesn't kind of enforce on us. Nor the bhoktrutvam. It was mentioned, na karma pala sanyoga, the connection between see every action we do, right, that actually in the from a things, how does karma come about? We say karma pala, right? So I do an action at some point in my life, I do some action, good or bad. So that has a result, in a kind of a result, not in that sense that I give 10 rupees to somebody and I will get 10 rupees someday, not like that. That action you do, it determined based on the merit that has, or what level it is. It will give you equivalent amount of sukha or dukkha at some point in your life. Meaning that based on the certain categories, how every action is meritorious. Like we say sometimes, right? Like sometimes we say, if you do some japa, or if you take a dip in Ganga, then there is so much punya, we say. So that is a certain stock of good merit. Or you do some charity to some place, and even in that, you give charity to some normal person is one thing. You give charity to some, some Mahatmas or some sadhus, and then there is a higher pala. So each one like that is determined. So that pala will come to you in use, either as tangible or as in a spiritual way. So if you're a sadhaka, it will come to you to help you in your spiritual life. If you're a normal person, then it will get that according result. So this connection, karma pala sanyoga, you did this, you will get that result at the time you deserve it. Same thing with also bad actions. You do bad actions sometime that bad action will come back to you. But we have two ways of addressing this, sadhakas. We know, like, we do all this japa and all these things, then it gets somewhat mitigated also. And when we come on the Jnana Marga and or Bhakti Marga and all that, these get channeled also, these pala. It brings us to all these things. So this is the karma pala sanyoga. But here the shloka is saying that Lord doesn't make that happen. So then we wonder, who is doing all this? Who is kind of doing all the mathematics there and giving me that pala? Is it just some kind of a, what you call, like a program that is self-designed? Nowadays we have AI and all, right? It all automatically does automate things. So is it all automated like that? So there is partly a automation, and that is the law of karma or the dharma, we say. So there is an order of dharma. However, that dharma is not an independent program running on its own. That dharma is part of Ishvara itself, part of the Supreme Lord itself. So there is no difference between the Lord and the dharma, except that it is that functional aspect of Ishvara in this world creation. So then, how is this saying that the Lord is not doing? So here, when he uses the word Lord, he is not talking about that Ishvara who is the karma pala data. So there is a Ishvara, Narayana, or whatever we want to call that Lord. That Lord, through the law of dharma, is a karma pala data. You deserve some good things, you get it. You deserve some bad things, you get that. So that justice, that law of justice, is also a manifestation of that Saguna Brahma, that Lord, that Ishvara. So in some places where Bhagavan says, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So that is the that Saguna Brahma, that Lord in the form of the Supreme, He is manifesting that Lord. But that Supreme Lord, meaning that the Lord who is not even Saguna, that is the Atma Tattva and the Paramatma Tattva. And that is completely free from any actions, any attributes, or even this association with Maya. It doesn't have even that association of Maya. So now he's saying if the Lord is not the doer, is not imposing that action on us, nor is he making us the bhokta, making us suffer or enjoy something, then who is doing all this? Huh? So then it was mentioned, all this is happening, swabhavastu pravartate. It is happening through swabhava. Swabhava means two ways we can look at it. One is our own vasanas compel us. Our actions are driven by what? Our actions are driven by our vasanas. So this is where, some people nowadays, they say that there's absolutely no free will. Why? Because everything I want to do, it is predetermined. Predetermined not in that karmic sense, in my own compulsion. I wake up in the morning and I will have coffee or I will have whatever is my habit. So that is like that compulsion. So similarly, all actions in the world, including like, what we will choose, what we will work as, all that they say is by one's own patterns, predetermined previous patterns, what we call it samskaras, vasanas, and all that. However, there is some degree of freedom from our sense. What is this freedom? This freedom is in that knowledge. When the degree of our knowledge changes, and that knowledge becomes practical, meaning that knowledge starts manifesting in our life. That old pattern, that old pattern which was running like that, that temporarily gets checked. So there, that amount of person has that ability to be a witness, to see that patterns, to know that patterns that is happening. So this is where this ability to know ourselves, ability to know our patterns, that itself empowers us to make that change. So that he is talking about now. So there is a person he mentioned in a 9-gate city. Navadvare Pure Dehe. So when he is talking that there is somebody sitting in this 9 gates, who is this one who is sitting in this 9-gate thing? Navadvare Pure Dehi.
Jivatma.
Jivatma, okay. Oh, anybody else?
Atma.
Atma itself. So here it is the pure Atma itself, meaning that Atma is kind of already realized, meaning he is able to witness. He's that through that knowledge, he knows he's sitting there. So why we discussed this last class? Why was it mentioned that he is sitting in the body? What is the difference? Why can't he be? We all know we are sitting in the body. Why do we need to mention that he is sitting in the body? Anybody remember from last class? Why not just say that, yeah, he's in the body. I mean, we all know he's in the body. The Atma or whosoever is in the body. Why was it said that he's in the body? Okay, so there it is mentioned, we discussed this, Shankaracharya had mentioned this point. Most of us don't have the sense that we are in the body. We have a sense our body is somewhere here and there. Like my body is here in this room or my body is here in Rishikesh. So this is the sense we have. I am in the body as this pure witness, and the body is operating. Meaning, what happens there? Then you become that Atma, then you recognize that Atma. Until you say that I am in the body as an observer of the body, you're not the Atma, you're one with that body. Huh? So your identity is based on identification with that body. There has become a oneness with that body. Huh? Now, when you say that I am in the body, there is already an experience that the body is there and I am in this, meaning there is a sense of separation, there is a sense of space, ability to witness. So I am pure and I'm in this body. Like if I say I'm in this hall or I'm in this house, I know I'm not the house, right? I know that I am in that house and the house is there, but I am somewhat different from that house. That kind of notion we have, that is when we say I'm in the house. So here, when it was said this Atma is seated in the body, that Atma is that pure. So that Atma is not the doer, is not the enjoyer. So who is then the doer enjoyer if that is not the Atma who is not the doer? Who is the enjoyer? Who is the doer? Hmm? Anybody?
Jiva.
Okay. Jiva.
Can be the vasanas,
Vasanas. Okay.
senses.
Atma, Atma conflated with the body. Ego
Ha.
is
That is also correct. So the ego is correct. So actually all of this, it is the ego, the jiva, and it is the sanghata we say. What is sanghata? Sanghata means an accumulation of this body, mind, ego, everything together. That is actually what ego is really. That ego is the one, that Atma, reflection of that Atma, identifies with this body, mind, and all that. And this sanghata means this aggregate of body, mind, and all. So they are the ones who are doing. So if I'm talking, my mouth is also talking, right? But at the same time, that sense of I, that sense of ego, the mind, everything is involved in that. So together, the mind, the speech, the sense organs, and that ego together, all this is happening, this speech, these actions, and all that. So karta bhokta. So this we are now clear. Okay, so now this is a fundamental where it was mentioned that that ego is not the doer. So then the actions of this, whom do that results go to? This punya and papa. Who is this punya and papa going to? So in that whole equation of karma, that action done, you get some results. So whom do those results go to? Whom do the punya go to? Whom do the papa go to? So that we will now look at this next shloka. Okay. So let us look at this one. Yeah. Okay, so let us chant these shlokas. We have done 14, but let us do from 14 again. न कर्तृत्वं न कर्माणि
न
न
कर्तृत्वं
कर्तृत्वं
न
न
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
लोकस्य सृजति प्रभुः
लोकस्य
लोकस्य
सृजति
सृजति
प्रभुः
प्रभुः
न कर्मफलसंयोगम्
न
न
कर्मफलसंयोगम्
कर्मफलसंयोगम्
स्वभावस्तु प्रवर्तते
स्वभावस्तु
स्वभावस्तु
प्रवर्तते
प्रवर्तते
नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापम्
न
नादत्ते
नादते
कस्यचित् पापम्
कस्यचित् पापं
न चैव सुकृतं विभुः
न
न
चैव
चैव
इव
सुकृतो
सुकृतं
विभुः
विभुः
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानम्
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानम्
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः
तेन
तेन
मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः
जन्तवः
ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानम्
ज्ञानेन
ज्ञानम्
ज्ञानम्
येषां नाशितमात्मनः
येषां नाशितमात्मनः
नाशितमात्मनः
तेषामादित्यवज्ञानम्
तेषामादित्यवज्ञानम्
प्रकाशयति तत्परम्
प्रकाशयति
तत्परम्
तत्परम्
तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानस्
तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः
तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः
तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः
गच्छन्त्य पुनरावृत्तिम्
गच्छन्त्यपुनरावृत्तिम्
ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः
ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः
Okay, so now it is mentioned, na adatte kasyachit papam, na chaiva sukrutam vibhuhu. So the Lord here means what? What are we referring to when we say the Lord here? Who is it referring to when we say the Lord?
Ishvara.
Here it is not Ishvara. Who is it?
is Atma.
Atma. So
Okay.
here we are referring to Atma. Na adate kasyachit papam na chaiva sukrutam. So the Atma itself will not dispense anybody's punya or papa. Why? Because knowledge, and okay, we come to this. So this point here, the Atma is not the doer. We have said the Atma is not the doer. Now the Atma is not even the Bhokta. That see the Punya and Papa, who is experiencing that Punya Papa means it is the Jiva which is experiencing the Punya Papa. So that Jiva, which means all of us as individuals, I have that sense that I am this individual being. So this individual being that I identify myself as, that individual being is the one who is experiencing this punya and papa. So this punya and papa is not to the Atma. And it is not also given out by the Atma. So this one. So then, so Shankaracharya brings out one point here. So if the Atma is not, if this is not happening to the Atma and nor is it given out by the Atma, then he asks the question, Kimattam tarhi bhakte pujadi lakshanam yaga dana homadikam cha sukrutam pujyate ityaha. Meaning, if that is the case, why are there so many bhaktyaha, meaning devotees, sadhakas? Why are they involved in doing all this yajna, dana, tapa, this sacrifice, charity, homa, rituals? Why are they doing all these worships? So, meaning that we are all seeking for punya. A normal person who comes to the spiritual path, he's interested initially in having punya. He wants good merits. He wants his life to become good, right? So there is that basis on which they're doing all those actions. Not just that, implied in this is everything we seek in the world, everything we seek after, all the worldly riches we want, worldly recognition we want, all this is based on that kind of thing. Now, he asks this question that if the Atma is not the enjoyer, Atma is not the sufferer of all this, then why do we need to work on all this? Why do we need to do all this? Why are we caught up in all these things of seeking and experiencing also? We feel we are experiencing this happiness. We feel we are experiencing this suffering. So then it is mentioned here, Thena muyanti karomi karayami bokshye boj Bhojayami ityevam moham gachanti avivekinaha samsarino jantavaha. This whole thing is because that people don't have that ability to discern, that discriminating wisdom is not there in the people. So they think that I do this, I make others do, I eat this, I make others eat. So this notion all of us have, that this is happening to me or this is what I am doing. So this constant sense of kartrutva and bhoktrutva, which we are all caught up with. Why is that coming? Ajnanena avritam jnanam, the shloka says. So this point here is where he brings again that aspect of wisdom, knowledge. Why is all this happening? Because knowledge is veiled by ignorance. And that leads to delusion. So this is the fundamental aspect of teachings in Vedas, in Upanishads, and in all of Gita, everything. Our knowledge, our reality, our truth is veiled by ignorance, meaning avidya. Avidya has taken over, and because of this, we are deluded, we are caught in Maya. So it is not because Maya suddenly came and it captured us or it did all that to us. We are in ignorance, and that ignorance attracts to us Maya, or this ignorance makes us seem to us this Maya is doing all this. So, so basically, the whole experience we are having, that I'm experiencing, it is all like how, when you go to a dream, when you are sleeping, you have a dream. In that dream, you experience some tiger is chasing you, and then that they pounce on you, everything is happening, right? And then when you wake up, you realize, oh, there was no tiger, nothing happened to me, I'm perfectly okay. So this state which we are experiencing is similar like that. I feel like I'm experiencing this. I'm going through life. I'm going through happiness. I'm going through sadness. So all these seeming experiences of life. This is where, we say that all this experience in this life is not a real experience from that highest reality. From the relative reality, it is true. I'm experiencing this. But from that highest reality, that is not true. Why is this happening? Because there is ignorance. Because this ignorance has covered, like the sun. When the sun is covered by clouds, what happens? It becomes dark. So there's no light anywhere. So similarly in us, that clouds have covered our intellect. And so this is where, all the sadhana, seeking of jnana is all that is happening. So now he goes on two more shlokas on jnana. And these are the essence of the whole, this chapter. Jnanena tudada jnanam, esham nashitam atmanaha. Those whose ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, so those who are jnanis, those who are realized individuals, what is happening to them? That ignorance is destroyed. Their essential nature of experiencing this world as an ignorant person, that gets destroyed. Tesham adityavat jnanam. There is that so here he gives an illustration. What is the illustration? Like that sun revealing the world, like how the sun reveals the world, similarly that knowledge reveals that supreme. Supreme meaning our true nature, that paramatma, that essence of our true nature, that atma tattva. So how is knowledge revealed? Maybe if I get some very special technique, I will realize myself. Or if I become very rich or very famous, then I can get this knowledge. Or I become some kind of a famous, some kind of a siddhi I get. I will get knowledge. No, none of those. The way to realize that supreme, that essential realization of that supreme, is through wisdom, is through knowledge. Now, here is where, we may say that why are we talking knowledge is the supreme? Then he's talking about later, he'll talk about bhakti yoga, karma yoga, all that he's spoken about. Why then so much of emphasis on knowledge? See, the idea is through bhakti, karma, and all that, we become qualified to seek this knowledge. So through all the sadhanas we are doing or have done, those sadhanas and all that punya we have done, good deeds, all that is leading us to the ability to seek and gain this knowledge. But ultimately, what leads to freedom? What leads to realization? That supreme freedom, that supreme reality, that supreme joy that in our heart all of us are seeking. And that is possible only through wisdom, self realization, God realization. What is all that? That is knowledge revealing the truth. So here we have to be careful when he says that sun reveals the world. So it is not like that knowledge lights up that Atma. That Atma is Swayam Prakasha. That Atma, Paramatma, is the light itself. It is the light of the world. But here the illustration is knowledge is like that light which makes us see that sun. So if you're in the dark, see that Atma. So if you're in the dark, and then in the dark you want to see something, you use a flashlight, and that flashlight points on that object you're looking. Then that you see that. So here the sun is like that. When the sun comes, what happens? So basically, for the sun to come, meaning that all the clouds are dispersed. So the clouds are where? The clouds are in our mind only. So sometimes there's also an expression like they say, right? My mind is so foggy today. So there we are saying that, meaning I can't see. I'm not able to relate to that. So that is, of course, we are talking at the level of brain there. But here, all our minds are foggy until we get wisdom. We are all deluded by that fog of that thing. So sometimes what happens when we get this knowledge, when we get even insight from Gita or anything, immediately we feel that freshness because we realize that, oh, this is real, this is real, this is true. But again, then the old patterns come, old habits come, old ignorance come back. And so that knowledge is not strong enough at that point. But that little illumination we feel, that gives us that hope of ever abiding in that illumination. So this is where that now he's highlighting the importance of how that getting that wisdom. It removes delusion. What delusion it removes? It removes this delusion that I am the doer, I am enjoying all this experience that I'm experiencing in this world. It is happening to me as an individual. And so then that sense of comparison, all this that comes, right? That happens because of ignorance. Now he comes to the very fundamental thing. How do you get to abide in this? How do you realize? What do you do to be free from this thing? How do you get to that point? Like I get sometimes some glimpse of truth. Maybe for that half an hour or 1 hour in the class, I feel okay. Yeah, this is real. This is true. Then some phone call comes or something happens. Again, I'm back to my thing. Why is this happening? When will this stop? So then he comes to this point here. So he says, Tad Buddhi. There is the intellect has to be soaked in Tat. What is Tat? Tat is that supreme, and Tat is also the pure self. That Tat here represents that supreme self. So our intellect has to be soaked in that reality, in that knowledge of self. So constant absorption in that knowledge of self, in the intellect and in the heart. Tad buddhi. So buddhi is used sometimes as heart. So because it's not just the thinking mind. Buddhi means that one which is uh, the essential decision making, that that conviction in us. So that is the buddhi. So here the tad buddhi and tadatma. Tadatma means that ego. Initially, it was jivatma. That jivatma meaning that I, that self, identified with the body and mind. Now, what happens? That ego. What happens to that ego when that realization of that self comes? What happens to that ego? Anybody? So we were saying until now, we are identified as a body and mind, and the ego is identified with the body and mind. So when that realization of self comes, where does that ego go?
It dissolves.
It dissolves into what?
No, nothingness.
It subsides into the Atma.
Dissolves
No,
into
it is like,
knowledge.
yeah, it is like a darkness going. When the sun comes, the darkness automatically vanishes.
That is true from knowledge and ignorance. That is true. Like avidya and avidya and jnana are like that. So when the light of knowledge comes, the darkness will go. Even though the darkness has been for lifetimes, instantly it will vanish. That is correct. But the ego dissolves is close. But there is a one more thing. What happens to that ego? Huh? So,
Becomes
huh?
weak.
Huh?
Becomes weak.
Becomes weak is one thing.
Like rope and snake example, we can give it just opens up and there is nothing like that actually. Snake is,
So what has happened to that snake in that rope and snake?
it, it was
The
not
snake
that
has
at all.
dissolved.
It
The
doesn't
snake,
exist.
it doesn't exist. Correct.
Illusion.
It's an
Nitya
illusion.
Rupa
It
Apavad.
hasn't exist.
Superimposition.
See, it doesn't go into nothingness. That is the point. There is something that happens. Actually, why do you think about it? See, it does that when that snake disappears. Yeah, you can say the snake has disappeared as though it was never there. But there is something more that has happened. And that is this what he's saying, tadatmana. So it is a way of looking again. So actually, what was the ego in the first place?
It always
I mean,
assumes forms. It grasps forms. And
No, but what
when
was
it
the
is no
ego in the
longer,
first place? When the ego was there, what was it?
Avidya.
Ajnana, avidya. Or a misconception.
Yeah, it
ego
was a
is the
misconception of what,
awareness or
Deepika?
Atma
Your point, you're
identified.
correct. Yeah. What was it a misconception of?
Misconception that it exists. But then you realize it actually doesn't exist.
But in order to have existence, there has to be some basis. That is what I'm saying. See, even though like you are having a dream, there is a waker, right? That waker is dreaming. So that waker is mistaken to be the dreamer when you realize when you wake up. So what has happened to the dreamer? Like you were dreaming, right? You were dreaming. What happened to the dreamer? The dreamer has dissolved, you will say, but something else has happened.
It merges.
Merges. What? Correct.
Become one.
It
became one with something.
It became with what?
One with the Lord.
Atma.
So actually, no, in that example, it's very simple. When the dreamer wakes up, he becomes the waker, right? The dreamer who wakes up becomes the waker. So that snake which disappeared, what did it disappear? It became the rope, right? Like in the first place, that rope was there which appeared like a snake. So this anatma we say, or this ahankara we say, there is a basis for that ahankara. It is not like completely nothing. If you say nothing, then it is shunya. There was nothing was there, nothing was created, nothing was ever happened. But something we sense has happened. What has happened is that Atma, by ignorance, became that ahankara. Right? So when that ahankara is realized, what happens to that ahankara? That ahankara doesn't exist, but that we can also say that ahankara is now that Atma. So first I was saying I'm the body. Now I realize I am this consciousness. I am this Brahman. So that ego, in that sense, realizes its true nature. So this is where we are saying, that one way to say it is that it's correct. The ego will dissolve. Ego is gone. There's nothing wrong in saying that. But it is not gone in that sense of non-identification. It has not gone into zeroness as such. It has merged. It has become its true essence. So that is what this word is saying. If you see here, tadatmana. Atmana here is referring to ego. Tad atmana, that atma, that self which took itself to be the body, becomes the tat. Tat is what? That supreme being, that supreme reality. So in this context, at least, it has merged to realize its supremeness. Everyone got that? Okay. So this point here, tad buddhaya, tad atmana. Now he talks about one more point. Tannishtha. Tannishtha is what? Abiding in that self, being in that self, being devoted to that self. So now our priorities change. The ego is no longer interested in becoming a famous person, a wealthy person, or in being a sadhaka. The ego now wants to realize its true nature. So that ego or the mind makes that effort to abide in that self, to abide in that Paramatma, in Bhagavan, whatever. So that constant abiding, that constant thinking of Bhagavan, constant abiding, thinking, abiding, devoted, committing oneself to that, and doing other activities which help you to come to that. So that is Tannistaya. Nishta means abiding or absorbed, established. Here it's used established. Tat parayanaha. That is the supreme goal. That becomes a supreme goal in that case. All right. And then he goes on to Gachanti apunaravritti jnana nirduta kalmashaha. And once that is written, then what happens? He comes to that state of non-returning. See, until now he was having glimpses, insights here and there, but now there is the apunaravritti. There is no coming back to that ego. Meaning a snake which dissolves and merges into that rope, it will not come again as a snake because you have seen through it. I mean, it may come again in our vision sometimes, but we know it is not a snake. Even though it looks like a snake, somehow that fancy aspects of that snake are gone, and you know that it is a rope. So na punaravritti, it is not going to come back. So that ego will not arise again. So of course there are stages in this, like initially we are glimpsing it, like in Yoga Vasistha it's mentioned. Initially you have an idea, you get this realization, you get an insight, then slowly you make that effort, and slowly that reality becomes deeper, 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 and then ultimately that becomes the only reality. There is no relative reality anymore. That person's jnana nirduta kalmashaha, all his sins are dissolved. How? By taking 1,000 dips in Ganga, by doing so much charity, by doing lot of good deeds in the world? No, by wisdom, by knowledge. I'm not saying this, the shloka is saying this. Okay? So it's saying that jnana nirdhuta kalmasha. All sins, not just this lives, previous lives, and potential sins for future life, all get dissolved. You become what is called as a Jivan Mukta. So this is the stage. This is the highest state that all of us are aspiring for, Jivan Mukta. Okay. Okay, so we will leave it at this, and this is a lot in these three shlokas. We will take a little bit again in the next class. So let us just maybe spend a few minutes to just reflect on these manana. So two mananas here. One was from the last class shloka. So maybe we can start with this one. Okay, so we start with the shloka number 11, where it is said, Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindrayairapi yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. The yogis engage in actions through body, mind, intellect, and senses, having relinquished attachment solely for self-purification from ego. So here these questions was there. What is the nature of ego in actions? So maybe you can all take a couple of minutes, and then we can anything we can share this. Okay, anybody wants to share anything? Any of these questions? How can I attain purification of the ego? Is it necessary to renounce all actions that trigger the ego, or is there a balanced approach? Anybody wants to share?
It's a doership. Ego in action is I am doing. No? Because of me, it is happening. Everywhere I'll put me.
Correct. So the strongest manifestation of ego is doership. That is correct.
Yes.
Yeah. What are the other manifestations of ego in here? How else when he asks you what is the nature of ego in actions, and how does it manifest in my life? What is the other manifestations of ego?
I am the enjoyer or beneficiary of the actions.
Say again.
Sorry, I am the enjoyer or beneficiary of the actions.
Correct. Bhoktritva also is ego. That sense that I am enjoying this. I am benefiting from this. That also, kartritva and bhoktritva, both are of ego. So here there is mentioned functional ego. So what is that? Anybody can relate to that?
For Vyavaharika level, like you walk, eating, sleeping, basic function without ego, just to operate in the worldly level.
So who has functional ego? Who can use functional ego? Or anything else anybody wants to share on functional ego? Okay. So functional ego is that. See here, it was. So it is hard to get rid of the ego that functions. No, this is different. So functional ego, as she mentioned, it is all these things. But once we realize the nature of self, Atma, then only we can take the functional ego. Like if we don't have insight into the pure nature of Atma, then the functional ego. See, functional ego can be anything. Like I am Swami Nirgunananda, or I am working at here. But we realize the essence of it is I'm not this. I'm not this body. I'm not this name. I'm not these roles. Hmm. So when that realization comes, then we can use the functional ego for vyavaharic purposes. So that point she made is correct. Okay, anybody else on anything on this before we move to next? Okay, then this shloka, that Navadvare Pure Dehi, the one who is sitting in the 9 gates. Am I aware of how the gates of body, such as eyes, ears, are the medium for our interaction with the outside world? Am I aware that what comes in through these gates and what goes out has my verbal and physical responses create an impression on the mind? And the last one also, am I aware of the moment of choice between the attention comes and the energy goes out through these gates? So here, when we talk about that awareness, who or what becomes aware of this interaction from outside to inside and inside to outside?
Ego.
Anybody?
Atma.
Atma. So Atma, when we say Atma is aware, so what is the faculty through which Atma becomes aware? How, through what or what means here is it mentioned that this awareness is coming?
By controlling the senses.
Controlling the senses. But at the same time, who is controlling the senses? So controlling of the senses is not by Atma, because Atma can't do anything. Meaning not do anything. It is not doing anything. It is not the doer. So who is exerting that control?
Swabhava.
Consciousness.
Huh?
Consciousness.
No, see, consciousness by itself will not exert control because it is not the doer, it is not the enjoyer. Who will
It's the ego.
the ego. So here is where the awareness is Atma, but the controlling and doing is what? It is by the ego. So that ego which is somewhat purified. So this is the difference between a sadhaka's ego and a normal person's ego. A normal person's ego is just to seek more enjoyment, more happiness. A sadhaka's ego is what? It is trying to restrain, it is trying to gain knowledge, abide in that wisdom. So this is what I was saying, that tadatmana. So when that ego gets purified, then it itself becomes that Atma. It is not like we are taking something and like, that snake, which is not like we are taking a sword and chopping off the head of that snake. That snake itself realizes in that sense, no? I mean, in that. So the ego in that sense abides back or resolves back um, through this. Okay, anything else on this? Anybody wants to share anything? So here is mentioned one point. Am I aware of the moment of choice before my attention and energy goes out? So what is the value of this choice? I mentioned in the class also. What does this choice do when we say, am I aware of this choice? Why do I need to be aware of this choice? Or how does this choice come about?
The free will. We have the
Ha.
free will to choose, decide between the good and bad, or to discriminate.
Yes. So how does this free will come about? When we say we are aware of that choice, what triggers this awareness? Let's say I am eating some junk food that I don't want to eat regularly. At what point or how do I become aware that there is a choice?
Right and wrong, doing the right and wrong.
Discernment. That discernment has to come. So I will not be aware if there is no sense of discernment. So this is the viveka, that viveka. How does this discernment come from? What is this trigger for this discernment?
Experience.
Experience, you can say, meaning there has to be something else than just experience, right?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Knowledge has to be there. See, just experience is not adequate. The knowledge is what will trigger viveka. See, viveka is at two levels. One, we are talking of Atma and Adharma viveka. What is ego, what is self? That we are talking. Another viveka is this Dharma Adharma viveka also. See, that message we all sent out for Ram Navami, right? So there, that when we talk about Lord Rama, what was the greatness is that Dharma Adharma viveka. And if you all remember in that message, how does that Dharma Adharma viveka come about?
Ishvara Arpana Buddhi.
Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. But also, what happens as a result of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi?
You let go of attachment.
Correct. But what does that lead to further?
Irrespective of likes and dislikes, we will do the right thing.
Irrespective of likes and dislikes, you'll do the right thing. So there is a correct, but at the same time, there is one more thing that happens, meaning not so much as an action, but natural result of not see, as he mentioned, when you are not going just based on your likes and dislikes, then you're willing to use and gain that knowledge that will help you get dharma and adharma. But to know dharma, adharma also, there's one more essential quality. This repeated ability to do Ishvara Arpana Buddhi gives us something that makes it possible to have this viveka. Whether dharma, adharma or atma and atma, this is an important factor.
Making a distinction between the real and unreal.
That is the thing. But what enables us to do that? One is wisdom.
Law of dharma.
The law of dharma. But see, what I'm saying is that the dharma, as you keep doing, there's one result which is the purification that happens in us. So when there is purification, then, as you were saying, we will not function based on our likes and dislikes. See, if there is no purification in me, meaning if my mind is not pure, it has impurities, then somebody tells me don't do likes, don't follow your likes and dislikes, I will not listen because that impurity will push me. So that purity is necessary to do both Dharma, Adharma Viveka, Atma and Atma Viveka. So without that purity, it is very difficult. In rare cases, it does happen, like you get glimpses, but the abiding is not possible without that purity. And also, you will not enjoy it. See, like if somebody were to tell you, why don't you do like Rama, do only good things, but you will say that, I have so much, I thought there's going to be so much fun in life. Now I have to go to the forest, I have to do all this. So there is no enjoyment. You will say this is like a cruel thing. I followed Dharma and look what it gave me. You hear people say this, right? I did so much Dharma, so much good thing, and look what happened to me. So that means there's no purity. So when we are pure, when we have that thing, even doing Dharma doesn't reward us, we are fine. Same thing with Atma and Atma Viveka. So this fundamental functioning is the same. The goal is different. Some people seek Dharma as a path. Some people seek moksha as the path. But the fundamental basis is this. There has to be that purification. Okay, so we will leave it at this. We will do the next Mananam in the next class. Okay. All right, we'll say a closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.